Hi, my name is Haley. Welcome and welcome back. This is a quiet space for yarn, rest, and soft things. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to make a cute little bunny, and you can use any yarn and hook size you want, but remember that your yarn and hook size will determine the bunny size. So if you use a thicker yarn and big hook size than what I use, your bunny will turn out bigger. Whereas if you use a thinner yarn and small hook size like a cotton yarn, acrylic yarn, then the bunny will be smaller. So if you want a similar size to mine, which is the size of my hands, I recommend that you use the same size of yarn and hook size. I use a velvet yarn, or some country called it a Chanel yarn, and it's in a size 3 mm, and also I use a 3 mm hook size. You will also need a felt fabric for the nose and eyes, but if you don't have those, feel free to use a safety eyes or sew on the face with yarn. To glue the bow, I use a hot glue, while for the face, I use a fabric glue. So if you're not comfortable with using glue to glue it on, you can always just sew it on. So can you guys please tell me in the comment whether I should keep the sling bag or not? So this is with the sling bag and this is without. However, for the sake of the video, I am not going to use a velvet yarn to show you because it is quite hard to see for beginners. So I'm going to be using a cotton 5-ply yarn to show you how to make it. And speaking of yarn, I've got a confession. So I did it. I decided to learn how to knit. Yep, me, a crochet girl trying to conquer knitting, and it's all thanks to today's sponsor, Craftsy. If you haven't heard of them, Craftsy is an amazing online community for creative people like you and me, whether you're into crochet, knitting, sewing, painting, cooking, basically all the fun stuff that keep your hands busy and heart happy. They have over 2,000 classes taught by friendly, award-winning instructors who guide you step by step.
And the author of 35 cookbooks.
Right now, I'm taking their beginner knitting classes, and let me tell you, it's so fun. The lessons are short, easy to follow, and I can pause or rewind whenever I need to, which is great because let's me be honest, my first few rows were, let's not talk about it. Craftsy keeps adding new classes all the time, so you never run out of inspiration, and you can connect with other members who love making things as much as you do. It's like a creative club you can join anytime. And the best part, the first 1,000 of you to click the link in my description will get a full year of Craftsy Premium for only $1.49. This is for new members only, so if you've never joined, now's the perfect time. I'll be here practicing my knit stitches, so come join me. Now, let's move on to the tutorial. So first, we are going to make the leg. So in this tutorial, we are not going to make any magic ring, because as you know, magic ring is kind of hard for beginners, so I want to make sure that all of you can make the bunny. So if you're not comfortable with replacing the magic ring, you can always do the real magic ring. So to do the fake magic ring, first we're going to do a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, you're going to hold the end of your yarn and make a loop like this. As you can see, we kind of have like a inverted U. Now you're going to twist your yarn. So bring the left yarn to your right and the right yarn to your left. Kind of like twisting the yarn. So just do it like this. Now as you can see, we have an X shape in the middle, which is right here. So just hold onto the shape. So take your working yarn and put the yarn on top of your loop. And then from the back, you're just going to pull the working yarn. So this is going to be your slip knot. Now take your crochet hook and insert your hook into the loop. And you need to make sure that the working yarn is at the front and the end is at the back. Now you're going to tighten up the loop. So just pull the two yarn like this and tighten it up on your loop. So make sure that it's not too tight that you cannot move it around. You have to make sure that the yarn can move around like this. Now with these 3 fingers, hold onto the yarn like this and make a gun shape. Then with your index finger, you're going to wrap the working yarn around. With your middle finger and thumb, you're going to hold onto the end like this. So now you have control over the yarn. Now we're going to chain 2. So to chain 2, just yarn over and pull through the loop, this is the loop. So just pull through. So this is going to be your first chain. Then make one more chain. As you can see, we have 2 V's, so basically this is our 2 chains. This is the first and then the second one. So now we're going to insert 6 single crochets into our fake magic ring. So you're going to insert your hook into the top stitch, which is the top of the V right here. And then when you turn your chain to the back, you can see that we have a back bump. So you also have to insert your hook into the back bump. So the reason why we have to do this because you don't want the magic ring to end up with a huge hole in the middle. So you have to make sure that you insert your hook into the top stitch and the back bump. So skip the first stitch and insert your hook into the second stitch. So the top stitch, and then turn your chain to the back and the back bump right here. Just use your nails to get into the back bump, like this. As you can see, we have 1, 2, and 3 loops on your hook. And now we're going to make 6 single crochets into our fake magic ring. So to make a single crochet, you're going to yarn under and pull up a loop. So just pull through the first 2 loops, which is the back bump and the top stitch. Then pull through. And then you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. 1 and 2. So this is going to be your first stitch. Now with a stitch marker, you're going to mark the first stitch. So this is the first V, which is your first stitch. If you don't have any stitch marker, you can always use bobby pins or safety pins, anything that you have. Now just insert your hook into the same stitch and make 5 more single crochets. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we have 6 single crochets into our fake magic ring. So remove your stitch marker. Now in the first stitch, which is where I just removed my stitch marker, you're going to insert an increase. So an increase basically means you're going to insert 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So insert your hook into the first stitch, and I'm going to carry the end as I work over my single crochet so I don't have to weave it in. So to carry the end, all you need to do is just put the end on top of your crochet hook and crochet over the end. Now just insert an increase into the first stitch. So this is going to be my first single crochet. And before you move on to the next single crochet, make sure to always mark the first stitch because you're going to work in a continuous round, so you need to always know where your first stitch is in order to count your stitches later on. So I'm going to go back into the first stitch and insert 1 more single crochet to complete the increase. So now I have 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So for this round, all you need to do is just insert an increase into each stitch. So into the second stitch, insert an increase. And then right here is your next stitch. So insert your hook and make an increase. 1 and 2. And in the next stitch again, an increase. You basically will do a total of 6 increases. And in the next stitch, an increase. 1, and 2. Now if you think that the end is kind of short and you cannot work over it anymore, you can always just let it be at the back because it is going to be hidden inside of the leg later on when we stuff it. So this is going to be my last stitch. So 1 and 2. So by the end of this round, you should have a total of 12 single crochets. So make sure to always count your stitches to make sure that it's right. So I'm going to show you how to count the stitches. So as you can see, we have a bunch of V's. So this is going to be your first V, which is your first stitch, and then the next V is your second stitch, and then the next V, third stitch, and so on. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So that is how you're going to count your stitches. Now moving on to round 3, remove your stitch marker. And now for round 3, 4, and 5, all you need to do is just insert one single crochet into each stitch. So insert your hook and make one single crochet and mark the first stitch with a stitch marker. So this is going to be your first single crochet, and then in the next stitch, one single crochet. So 2, 3, 4. So the total stitches that you should have by the end of each round is going to be 12 stitches. It's going to be the same as last round. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So continue this step until round 5, which is 2 more rounds. Now once you are done, this is how it's going to look like. So I'm going to show you how to count the rounds so that you know whether you are doing it right or not. So as you can see, we have this small circle here. So this is basically going to be our round 1. So 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is how you're going to count your rounds. So now we're going to fasten off. So just take your scissors and cut your yarn. Pull through and remove the stitch marker. Now we're going to secure this end. So to secure it, you're just going to insert your hook into the first stitch, which is right here, and bring the yarn over to the front like this and pull through. And then this is your last stitch right here. As you can see, just insert your hook into the V's, and with your hook, grab onto the yarn and pull through. So you're going to do this one more time. This is really going to secure the yarn without adding any stitches. Now this is how the first leg is going to look like. Now you're going to repeat round 1 until round 5 and make the other leg. And also you will have to fasten off and secure the yarn. Now I have my 2 legs ready, so now we're going to move on to the body and join these 2 legs. So this part is a little hard, so I'm going to do this slowly with you. So first, to join the 2 legs, we're going to attach our yarn. So insert your hook anywhere, but I am going to insert my hook into the first stitch of the leg, which is right here. So to attach the yarn, you're going to make a loop like this. So the end of your yarn is going to be on your right and your working yarn is going to be on your left. So put it on top of your crochet hook, and you will have to hold the end of the yarn at the back so that you have control over the yarn and so that the yarn does not slip off. And again, I'm going to work over the end right here so that I don't have to weave it in. So first, you're going to yarn over and pull through. And then you're going to chain 1. So yarn over and pull through to chain 1. Now in the same stitch, you're going to insert 1 single crochet. So insert your hook into the same stitch and make 1 single crochet. So now I'm going to use a stitch marker and mark the first single crochet. Now go ahead and take the other leg and insert your hook anywhere you want. I'm still going to be inserting it into the first stitch. So insert your hook, and again I am still going to carry the end. So once you insert your hook, you're going to insert one single crochet into this stitch right here. So you need to make sure that the leg is close with this other leg because you don't want a huge gap in the middle right here. So make sure that it's really close with each other before making the single crochet. I'm just going to make one single crochet. Now we're going to continue making 10 single crochets. So basically, we're just going to insert one single crochet into the next 11 stitches. So in the next stitch, one single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So after you are done with 10 single crochets, this is going to be your last stitch. So this is going to be our last stitch right here. This is not going to be our last stitch. Now we're going to make a single crochet 2 together. So to do that, you're just going to insert your hook into the last stitch for this leg. Insert your hook, yarn under, and pull up a loop. Then you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch for this leg. So the first stitch is basically the chain one that we did to attach the yarn. So you're going to insert your hook into this stitch right here. And then make sure that these two legs are close together. Then yarn under and pull up a loop. Then you have 3 loops on your hook. Now yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So the reason why we do this is so that we don't have a huge hole in between of the 2 legs. Now we're going to continue making 11 single crochets. So insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So by the end of this round, you should have a total of 24 stitches. Now moving on to round 7. So remove your stitch marker and insert an increase into the first stitch. So the first stitch is right here. So just insert your hook and make an increase. So 1 and 2 single crochets into the same stitch. So just take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. Again, you will always have to make sure that you mark the first stitch because we're going to work in a continuous round. Then we're going to make 3 single crochets. So this is your next stitch right here. So this is your first single crochet in the next stitch, second, and third. So you're going to repeat this step for 5 more times. So I'm just going to show you until the end so that you are familiar with this step. Now in the next stitch, an increase, 1 and 2, and then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next stitch, an increase 1 and 2, and then 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and then an increase in the next stitch again. This is your next stitch right here. So 1 and 2, and then 3 single crochets. Your next stitch is right here. It is a little small. So 1, 2, and 3, and then an increase. 1 and 2, and then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now this is going to be my last increase. And then 3 single crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now moving on to round 8, so remove your stitch marker. So on round 8 until round 17, this is what you're going to do. So you're going to insert 1 single crochet into each stitch. So the total number of single crochets that you have to make is 30 single crochets. So insert your hook into the first stitch where you just remove your stitch marker and make 1 single crochet. Then take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. Now in the next stitch, insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So now just go ahead and repeat this step until round 17. So you're going to build it up all the way until here. So now I am done until round 17 and this is how it's going to look like. So now let's move on to round 18. Now on round 18, we're going to start decreasing. So first remove your stitch marker. And we are going to do a decrease. So we are going to do an invisible decrease, just like its name, it is invisible. So to do that, you first need to know where the front loop is. So this is the back loop and this is the front loop. So you're just going to insert your hook into the front loop, which is the 2 front loops right here. Grab onto the first stitch front loop with your hook, like this. And then insert your hook again into the next stitch front loop. So you have the 2 front loops and then 1 loop right here. So just yarn under and pull through the first 2 front loops and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So that is how you're going to do a decrease. Now take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets. So you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch. So be sure not to insert any stitches where we have done a decrease. So to know where this stitch that we have inserted a decrease, you can see that this stitch is kind of like stretched out, which means you have made a decrease there. So this is not going to be your next stitch, but your next stitch is going to be right here where the stitches looks like a V and it is not stretched out. So just insert your hook into the next stitch and make 1 single crochet. So 1, and then in the next stitch 2 and 3. So this is the pattern that you're going to repeat for 5 more times. So I am going to show you one more time. So grab onto the 2 front loops and you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn under and pull through the 2 front loops and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through 2. So that is going to be your second decrease. Now just make 3 single crochets. So this is not your stitch because it is stretched out. This is your next stitch. So insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. So 1 in the next stitch, 2 in the next stitch, 3. So go ahead and repeat this until the end of this round right here. So now once you are done with round 18, you can see that we kind of have a curve here, which means you have done the decrease right. Or you can always just count your stitches and make sure that it is 24 stitches. And if you have 24 stitches, then what you're doing is right. So now we're going to start building the ears. So remove your stitch marker. And first, we're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. And again, remember to always mark the first stitch. And now this is the center part of the bunny. So we're going to insert our hook into this next stitch and also this back stitch. So I'm just going to align all of the stitches like this. And I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, right like this, and also the back stitch. Now just make 1 single crochet. So what we're doing is we're just going to build the right ear without cutting the yarn, so you don't have to sew it or anything. So before moving on, you're going to make sure that you have 12 stitches on your right. So I'm going to count with you. So this is the first stitch, 1, 2. This is going to be our next stitch right here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have 12 stitches right here. Now you're just going to continue inserting 1 single crochet in each stitch. So this is the next stitch right here. So just insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. And in the next stitch, 1 single crochet. So just continue until you have a total of 12 single crochets. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now, before we move on, we're going to go ahead and stuff the bunny. To stuff it, just insert it little by little and poke it in with the back of your crochet hook. So you're just going to do this until it is completely full. So I have done stuff it up, and this is how it looks like. So as you can see, I did not stuff too much and leave a little space right here because we are still going to build up the ears. So I'm just going to insert my hook into my loop and tighten it up. Now we're just going to remove your stitch marker and move on to round 20. So for round 20 until round 23, all you need to do is just insert 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So the total number of stitches that you're still going to make is 12 single crochets. So insert your hook and make 1 single crochet, and then just mark the first stitch. Then in the next stitch, which is right here, as you can see, just insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. So if you feel uncomfortable holding the binding, you can always just insert your finger into the ears like this and pull the ears a little bit, and your finger is going to be at the back of the stitches. So this is going to help you control it and make it so much easier for you to insert your hook. So right now I have 3 single crochets. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now go ahead and repeat this step for 3 more rounds or until round 23. So once you are done, we're going to move on to round 24. So remove your stitch marker, and we are going to do a decrease for 6 times. So just grab onto the 2 front loops of your 2 stitches, then yarn under and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2. So this is going to be your first decrease. So go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker. Now make a decrease in the next 2 stitches. So this is the 2 stitches since this part is stretched out, which means you have done a decrease into these stitches. So grab onto the 2 front loops, yarn under and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. So this is your second decrease. So just continue this. So I'm sure this part is going to be a little hard for beginners because everything is so small. So I really hope you can get through this. I know you can do this. So just do it slowly. And now this is my last decrease. So now you are done with the first ear. So go ahead and take your scissors and cut your yarn about this long because we are going to use the yarn to sew this part close. So remove your stitch marker and we're going to make the left ear. So just turn your work around and insert your hook into the first stitch right here. Since this part is the center part, so we're not going to do anything with this first, which means this is going to be our second stitch. So it is going to be the same step as how we did this ear. So insert your hook into the first stitch and we're going to attach our yarn. So to attach the yarn, it is still going to be the same step on how we first attach our yarn for the leg. So go ahead and make a loop like this and then put it on top of your crochet hook and hold the end at the back to make sure that you have control over the yarn. Now just pull up a loop and chain 1. So yarn over and pull through. Now you will have to make sure that you work over the end so that your work won't unravel. So first, insert 1 single crochet into the same stitch as the chain 1. So insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. Now, take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. Now, we're going to make 1 single crochet through both stitches, which is the front and back stitch that we did earlier, which is the center part of our bunny. This is the center part, as you can see. So just insert your hook into the 2 stitches like this and make 1 single crochet. Now I'm just going to turn my work around because we're going to make the single crochets in rounds. So this is going to be your next stitch right here. So now just continue inserting 1 single crochet all around. And you will have to make sure that you have a total of 12 stitches. So right now I should have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. This is going to be my 4th single crochet. So I'm not going to carry the end anymore because it is kind of short. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now moving on to the next round. So remove your stitch marker. So now for round 20 until round 23 for this side, it is still going to be the same step as this other ear. You're just going to insert 1 single crochet in each stitch until round 23. I'm just going to show you once for round 20. So insert your hook into the next stitch, which is right here. So insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. And take your stitch marker and mark the first stitch. I'm just going to turn my work a little, and this is going to be your second stitch right here. So just insert your hook and make 1 single crochet. So this is going to be my second single crochet. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So now just continue this until round 23. So once you are done for the last round, we're going to do a decrease for 6 times. So remove your stitch marker and now just grab onto the first 2 front loops and make your decrease. Now this is going to be your first decrease, so go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker. Now the second decrease. This is going to be your next stitch because this part is stretched out. So just insert your hook and make your decrease. So the second decrease. So 3, 4, 5, and the last decrease, and 6. So now go ahead and take your scissors and cut your yarn and leave about this much and pull through and remove your stitch marker. Now we're going to take some more stuffing and we're going to stuff the ears. So since this part is like so small, I'm just going to use the back of my crochet hook and poke it in inside of the ear like this, kind of like twisting it and then poke it inside. So you're just going to repeat this step for both ears. Now we're going to close the hole. So just take your darning needle and thread in your yarn. So I'm going to do this for the right ear first, and then it's going to be the same step for the left ear. So first, you're going to insert your needle and yarn through each stitches, but only through the center. So you just insert your needle through the first stitch like this and pull through. So you don't have to pull too tight, just pull it enough like this. So make sure that you insert your needle 6 times. So this is going to be my third. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then just pull the end of your yarn slowly to close the hole. Like this. And as you can see, we kind of have like a small bump here. So to hide this bump, all you need to do is just insert your needle and yarn through the center part like this. And you can pull anywhere you want and pull through. And now there is no more bump. So now you're just going to weave in this excess yarn by inserting it into the same place you pull through and pull through anywhere you want. So I'm just going to do this 2 times and pull. Now just take your scissors and cut your yarn and use anything you have and poke in this excess yarn inside of the body like this. So this is going to hide the end. So now go ahead and repeat the same step for this side. Now we're going to make the hands for the bunny. So first you're going to do a slip knot. So go ahead and make a loop like this. And then you're going to twist your yarn like this. So you will have this X shape in the middle. Then take your working yarn and put it on top of your loop. And from the back, just pull your working yarn. Now take your crochet hook and insert it through the loop and tighten up the loop. And make sure that your working yarn is at the front and the end is at the back. Now we're going to chain 2, which is basically our fake magic ring. So just turn over and pull through. So 1 and 2. Now in our fake magic ring, which is the second stitch right here, we're going to insert 8 single crochets. Again, this will be the same step as how we did the ears. So you will have to insert your hook into this top stitch and then turn your chain to the back and insert it through the back bump too, which is right here. So just insert it through the top stitch and then the back bump. Use your fingernails to get into it. It is going to be much easier this way. And then insert 8 single crochets. So this is going to be your first single crochet. So go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker and insert 7 more single crochets into the same stitch. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now remove your stitch marker. So on round 2 until round 6, all you need to do is just insert 1 single crochet into each stitch. So insert your hook into the first stitch And I am going to work over the end as I make my single crochet so that I don't have to weave it in again. So to work over the end, all you need to do is just put the end on top of your crochet hook and crochet over it. So I'm going to insert one single crochet into the first stitch. And remember to always mark the first stitch because we are going to work in a continuous round. So this is going to be my first single crochet. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So before moving on to the next round, use your crochet hook and flip the hands inside out so that the right stitch is facing the right way, like this. This is going to be the front of your stitch and this is going to be the inside of the hands. So go ahead and repeat this step until round 6. Now once you are done, remove your stitch marker and we're going to make a slip stitch into the first stitch. So to do a slip stitch, you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then just pull through this loop like this. And then you're going to pull your loop like this and pull the loop to tighten up this slip stitch so that it's not as obvious. This is what I usually do, but if you don't like to do this, you're just going to skip this. Then just pull your working yarn to tighten up the loop. Now you're going to chain 1, so yarn over and pull through. Now you're going to leave a long end so that you can use that to sew on the hands. So I'm going to cut about this much. Then just pull through and pull the end to tighten up the chain 1 so that your work won't unravel. Now this is how it's going to look like, so go ahead and repeat this step and make one more. So now I got my 2 hands ready, so now let's get started and sew these hands onto the bun. Go ahead and take your darning needle and thread in your yarn. So I'm going to show you the placement for both hands. So from this center right here, let me just show you right here, which is our last round before making the ears. So this is where you're going to start counting. So we're going to count 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is where the hands is going to be. From round 6 right here, we're going to go to the side, and this is where the hands is going to be. Make sure that it's aligned with the ears right here. So first, you're going to insert your needle and yarn through the corner right here to make it easy for you to sew. So just pull through like this. Now we're going to start sewing. So to start sewing, we're just going to go through this stitch on round 6 like this and pull through. Then you're going to insert your needle and yarn into the corner of the stitch right here and pull through. And you're going to do the same for this side. You're going to go through the next stitch like this and then insert it through the stitch like this and pull through. And then insert your needle and yarn through both stitch of the hand like this and pull through. And then do this again for the next stitch. And this is going to be our last stitch for the hand. And then you're going to go through the same stitch where you just pull through like this, and you're going to pull through anywhere you want. Then you're going to weave in this excess yarn inside of the body. So just insert your needle through the same place you pull through and pull through anywhere you want. I'm going to do this 2 times. Then take your scissors and cut your yarn. Then you can use anything you have and poke in this excess yarn inside of the body. So I'm just going to use this plastic darning needle. And then since it's like too flat, I'm just going to fluff it up a little. You don't have to put in stuffing inside of this. Then this is how the hand is going to look like. So go ahead and do the same thing for the right side. Now this is how the hands looks like after you have sewn it. So if you're using this kind of yarn, this is how it's going to look like. So now we're going to do the face. You will need a felt fabric for this, but if you don't have a felt fabric, you can always just use safety eyes or the eyes that you have to glue onto your crochet project, or you can always just sew it with yarn. So this is the two felt that I'm going to be using. We're going to cut a square shape. So you're going to draw on the square first and then cut the felt into a square shape. So just going to cut it like this. So this is like really small, so it is going to be a little hard. Then what you're going to do is just cut the corner a little bit to make the corner not so sharp so that it has a curve to it. And now this is how the face eye is going to look like. So go ahead and trace this eye on your washi tab and then cut the same shape as this one. Now for the nose, it is basically a triangle. So I just drew a triangle shape at the back of my washi tab like this. And I'm just going to cut it. And once again, I'm going to cut the corner a little bit to make it curvy because I don't want it to be too sharp. I think it looks nice this way. Now this is how the nose looks like. Now I have my two eyes and also the nose. So I'm going to show you where the placement is going to be. From this center right here, this is basically again our last round before we make the ears. So from here, we're going to count 4 rows. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to glue on the eyes right here, and we're going to glue it a little bit beside of the ear like this. And you will have 1, 2, and 3 stitches in between of the eyes. So I'm just going to use some of my glue right here and pick it up like this. So I'm just going to place it right here. So I am just eyeing this honestly on where the eyes is going to be, but the placement is still going to be on round 4. It's just that I am always just eyeing these spaces and where it looks the best, kind of like this. And I'm just going to like change this a little. So this is where the eye is going to be, and I have 1, 2, and 3 spaces in between. Then for the nose, I'm just going to take some glue like this. Then you're going to place the nose on round 5, and it is going to be at the center of the eyes. So it's going to be right here. Since we have 3 stitches in between, so basically it's going to be right here. So you're just going to like place it. Now all you need to do is just let it dry, and we're going to move on and make the bow. So to do the bow, we're going to make a slip knot. Then you're going to insert your hook into the loop and tighten up both yarn. Then you're just going to chain how long you want the chain to be, and it is going to determine how big the bow is. I'm just going to chain until I think it's enough for me to tie a bow. So I did about 12 centimeters long, but I'm not going to use all of this since I am just going to make a small bow. So I'm just going to tie it into a bow first. I want the end to be like really short because I don't want it to cover the face. So I like this part to be short. So I'm just going to like pull my chains until it's about the same length. So now these 2 chains are the same length as this one, but we need an extra chain one in order to fasten off. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, and then you're just going to pull through and pull the end to tighten up the chain. So I'm going to repeat the same step and make another bow. So now I have my 2 bow. So what you're going to do is just cut the end. So to secure these 2 ends, I would recommend that you glue it because it is going to make sure that it's never going to unravel But of course, if you don't want to glue it, it is fine. But it's just that in the future, it might unravel. So if you don't want this to happen, make sure to glue the end. All you need to do is just glue the bow at the side of the ears like this. So I am going to glue it off camera. So once you are done, this is how it looks like, and I didn't glue on the bow because I glued the end of the bow, so I need to make sure that this end dry first before I glue it onto the hat. Now if you like the bunny with the sling bag, you can go to the Grumpy Cat tutorial on my channel or click the link in my description box. So that's it for tutorial. Thank you for watching and I'll see you again. Bye!